Thank you for joining us today for a discussion about the importance of conducting thorough due diligence on the businesses you do business with, and just as importantly, the people who run those businesses. I'm Mary Windishar, and before we begin, here are a few brief announcements. This webinar is being recorded and will be sent to all attendees after the webinar. Today's event will be interactive, so please disable any pop-up blockers you may have installed. They can interfere with certain aspects of our web conference. For an enhanced view of our presentation, click the Enlarge Slides button located in the gray bar above the slide window. To download a PDF version of the slide presentation, just click the green folder icon located at the bottom of your console. You can ask a question at any time. To submit yours, please click on the Q&A icon at the bottom of the screen and type it into the question box area that appears, and then hit the Submit button. Today's presenters are Etta Rotscheit and Ryan Sukoff. Etta is a Director of Market Planning with LexisNexis Risk Solutions. Her expertise is in global procurement and supply chain risk management. Ryan is a Senior Product Manager at LexisNexis and manages the full product life cycle from concept through development and then release to market. Both Etta and Ryan are very instrumental in the development of due diligence products and are excited to share how you can maximize your due diligence efforts while minimizing various supplier risks. And now over to you, Etta. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Mary, and welcome everybody. I'm really excited to talk to you today about due diligence on businesses and specifically about ultimate beneficial ownership, or also called UBO. I will talk about challenges that we hear from you, the customers, our marketplace, the research that we've done, and really where we see the tools that can help you with those challenges. And Ryan will take over and talk about the workflow, some of our products. He will share customer use cases, success stories we'll talk about that will hopefully help you thinking about optimizing your specific workflow and processes. So let's get started with the first slide here. When we talk to our existing customers and prospects, we see the need and the trends that are driving the focus on third-party risks, due diligence, and UBO, the ultimate beneficial ownership. There's increased scrutiny, I think we all see that, on all of us by global regulators. That global regulatory landscape has undergone significant reform to strengthen and enhance existing beneficial ownership requirements over several different regulatory frameworks. You see the list here on the screen, just to name a few: anti-bribery corruption, we're talking about the FCPA Act, the UK Bribery Act, transactions in violation of UN sanctions, the OFAC watch list, and there's the Corporate Transparency Act that is a bill that was just recently brought before Congress in 2017, and lots more. So why is that then important to all of us? It really does not matter what industry, it concerns all of us. If your organization does not verify the ownership of a third party it does business with, it risks infringement of the law and international standards. It places its reputation at risk, and then all of these could translate into hefty fines and loss of revenue. Multiple corruption scandals in the last few years have empowered these enforcement agencies and the regulators to focus on violations due to the ultimate beneficial ownership, due to UBO. You've heard about the Panama Papers. Another one is the Petrobras scandal in Brazil. FIFA, the soccer organization, the bribery allegations there. And all of these cases relate to shell companies that were being created to obscure identities of their beneficial owners. When we talk specifically about financial institutions, I want to talk about FinCEN, and FinCEN has released its final rule on customer due diligence, the CDD rule, and companies must be fully compliant with the rule by May 11th, 2018. So those are covered financial institutions under that rule. The new element of the final rule requires these covered financial institutions to implement written procedures to identify, and then verify beneficial owners of legal entities opening new accounts. The financial institutions accomplish that, and I assume most of you accomplish that by the identification, by gathering information on a standard so-called certification of beneficial owner, the form that is being filled out or other equivalent means. But then after gathering that information, the verification needs to happen by performing customer identification program procedures, also so-called CIP procedures, on the individuals listed on that form. So the procedures really should include how we are going to collect, verify, screen, store, and monitor the UBO data. And there may be multiple procedures that need updating, and whatever you put into your procedure must actually be performed. So this, I wanted to specifically point out this crucial regulation that is hitting FIs next year. But as I started out and stated before, every company really in every industry has regulatory forces that emphasize business verification and the due diligence. So your challenges. What do we hear from you, our customers, regarding pressures that you are under? Time constraints. You are being asked to onboard more and more customers faster and faster, correct? And that asks for automation. Diversity. You are struggling with the diverse nature of small businesses and the data that surrounds these small businesses. The personal influence. There is that saying, the small business is the person behind the business. So it is all about the person and the individual influencing the small business, and what do we know about them? Credit risk. The lack of information regarding credit files on these small businesses definitely are a challenge that we hear from you. And last but not least, fraud. Small business fraud is accelerating, and we are experiencing this and hearing this a lot from our existing customers and prospects, that small businesses are becoming easier targets than consumers, and that really concerns you and your processes. So we all know, the more you know about the applicant, the business, the third party you plan to do business with, the easier it makes your processes and decisions. But there is that information gap, the lack of information on these small businesses. And this slide here shows really in the middle the information and data challenge that you experience, that are displayed here in the middle of the screen. And they impact your customer uptake and growth. So you are being tasked to secure more clients, meanwhile better segmenting the risk and knowing about the people too. The problems really are, so there are applicants with little information, all seem to be similar, and then who really is that person behind the business? And then on the right, so what we've heard from you, what are you doing so far? You broaden the reach and market to more. You loosen your criteria during the processes, and that's how you really miss crucial information, which that crucial information could be negative or positive. So before we go to the next section discussing tools and research that we have, I wanted to do a poll on the audience, because I talked about challenges that we hear and shared the information here. But I'd really love to hear on this webinar to see what are your main challenges, and would love to hand over to Mary for the poll here.
Thank you, Etta. This is our poll, and all you have to do to participate is click your answer right there on the slide itself, and then on the bottom you'll see it says submit. So the question again is, what are your main challenges in onboarding risk and performing due diligence? Please select everything that applies to you: abiding regulations, speed of onboarding, lack of information on SMBs, or fraud. Etta, when you say SMBs, what size business are you talking about? A lot of times people have a different definition of that.
Yeah, Mary, that's actually exactly it, right? It depends. We hear from a lot of customers varying definitions of what they consider small businesses. But mostly what we talk about, and we'll see here on the research that I'm going to share as well, under 20 employees, that is a size that is considered a small business. Most customers that we deal with talk about nearly agree with under $1 million in annual revenue is small. Some of them go up to 5 million, but again, it really depends on the customer and the organization.
All right, thank you. That's probably plenty of time for people to weigh in on this question. What are your main challenges in onboarding risk and performing due diligence? So let's take a look and see what our audience says. Remember, this won't add up to 100 because you could select all that apply, but the one that seems to be the most is lack of information on SMBs. So Etta, what do you think?
Okay, yeah, this is great. This is very interesting to hear. So that's what you saw my list and the lack of information. We'll talk a lot about this, so that's great. I will keep on going with the presentation and help you with solving these problems then.
And by the way, speed of onboarding was actually 2 points higher. So you got to deal with both of them.
Exactly. There you go. Okay. So we need data to help us make decisions. Data outside of the traditional public sources open up opportunities to pinpoint and target new prospects out of somewhat untapped markets and definitely help us mitigate risk at the same time. Small businesses leave many footprints. That's what we call them. And we have the standard traditional public sources. We have the crucial trade payment information, financial payment data, but then alternative data plays a very important role here. So what is alternative data? It's data such as mobile and landline phone bills, utility bills, and other payment history sources that we gather. And they provide valuable insights and help you assess the risk of that small business by helping you answer rather basic questions. So what would those questions be? Is the small business real? Is it present in more than one source, for example? Is the small business stable? How long has it been at the address? How many locations? That type of information. And then, is the small business reputable? And is this really somebody that you want to do business with? The power really is in aggregating this data from thousands of sources that are out there to build the broadest foundation. You really don't want to miss anything. And then resolving the data into specific entities to yield that precise view on a small business, on that business entity. So I mentioned earlier, I want to talk a little bit about the research that we've done in surveys. And the next 2 slides here show some interesting information on small businesses. Why is there such a focus on small businesses and their owners? And the numbers here kind of speak for themselves, but on the left-hand side, you see the 99% of all the companies in the U.S. that are small businesses. And then 70% of that are owned and operated by a single person. And 5 years is the number before a small business actually establishes a credit profile. Very interesting. And we did another survey here, and again, we talked about the individual, the personal influence, and why that is so important if you look at the small business and the owner overlap. And just to mention 2 here, the percentage is so high, 31%, yes, my home address is my official business address. Or yes, I have used my social security number to file taxes for my business. A very crucial and interesting insight. Another survey that we recently did on a separate seminar that we held was what percentages of your suppliers specifically are small businesses, and that's kind of when we use the less than 20 employees sizing there. And you see the results here. They're pretty interesting if you look at the upper categories here, the upper percentages, and it really shows it just proved the point how critical those small businesses are to your organizations, your workflows, your processes. So how do we then at LexisNexis with Solutions help you with this? What we do best is aggregating all this data and giving you the most insight into the business entity. We have vast data resources that help with some of the coverage there. I mentioned our data set. We sometimes call it the triple crown of data: risk data, bank trade data, B2B trade data, and the alternative data that I pointed out. Big data technology that we rely on. Advanced linking, very crucial for the entity resolutions to know who the business is and connect the business to its person, to the owner. Analytic insight. We blend the analytics on the small business and the owner and the authorized representative. Specific industry expertise that we then bring forward with customer-focused products as well. We focus on you, on your industry, and help you with our industry expertise and the analytic insight there. So Ryan will actually go into a lot more details on our products, but this slide, I wanted to share the slide with you to show the product portfolio and the different solutions that we have, that they cover specific needs for you to mitigate risk within your workflow, whether it is due diligence, the credit risk, or the supplier risk, or the general due diligence. We do have products that can help you mitigate risk during your specific workflows and processes. So to bring it back, we bridge that information gap that I earlier showed on the other slide and help you effectively assess your risk. So Ryan is up next. Take it from here.
All right. Thank you, Hedda. That was great. And thank you all for joining us today. It's with great pleasure and excitement that I share with you how you can optimize your workflow from onboarding to assessment and verification to ongoing monitoring and maintenance by using our products and tools. We have solutions that align to your workflow and your needs. Starting on the bottom left, when you're onboarding third-party businesses, you need to identify and verify that these businesses exist. Then, when you do your assessment, you need to conduct light-level diligence or intense investigations to determine risk. And then you will perform ongoing monitoring and maintenance to make sure these third-party businesses maintain good standing. Our solutions can be accessed in 3 different ways. We have online offerings, which can be accessed in a web browser. We have XML web services offerings, which allow for custom integrations. And lastly, batch solutions, which allow for bulk processing. I'll start with a tool we have that will help you in the identify portion of the workflow. At this point, when you are looking to validate that companies exist, our Business Instant ID product will help you with identity verification on businesses and their ultimate beneficial owners, or UBOs. Based on the inputs that you submit, we match it up with our data linking and help you to identify if a business is legitimate. We have 3 indices that this product displays. We have the Business Verification Index, which indicates how well the business input fields were confirmed by the facts and data we have on record. We then have the Consumer Verification Index, which indicates how well the authorized representative input fields were confirmed by the facts and data we have on record. And lastly, we have the Business to Executive Link. This indicates how well we could associate the business to the authorized rep based on the facts and data that we have on record. As one important example, this product is here to help all of you financial institutions to comply with regulations that are being put into place due to the new FinCEN Rule effective in May of next year. In addition, all of you non-financial institutions and organizations always need to verify the ownership of third-party businesses. Otherwise, there is risk of infringement of the law and/or international standards, leading to reputational risk. It can also lead to penalties, hefty fines, and ultimately loss of revenue. So again, LexisNexis Business Instant ID helps companies to verify the identity of a business entity, verify the identities of up to 5 authorized representatives associated with the business, and assess the connection between the persons and the business.
So we wanted to talk, I mentioned we're going to talk through some case studies or success stories here, and let's go to the first one here. And Ryan, so we had this major financial institution that was looking to verify small businesses and their ultimate beneficial owners. So tell us a little bit about the customer and the challenge and what they were looking for.
Yes, Etta. Yep. So the client was looking to update their systems to enable the verification of business entities and their owners in light of this new FinCEN requirement coming out in May. Being a large financial institution, they offer a variety of services ranging from credit card lending to leasing and merchant processing. And they wanted to identify the best tool available for this and then get all of their portfolios using that tool for consistency's sake.
And so I obviously have to ask, so what was the best solution there for them?
So just so happens their best solution was Business Instant ID 2.0. They found that after testing with Business Instant ID 2.0, they had an overall lift of 17% in businesses that could be verified via an automated process compared to the process they had been using. They also found an overall 44% reduction in no-hits. The reduction in no-hits was important because it allowed for more opportunities to verify that the businesses being searched are legitimate. It also meant for less manual reviews, so reduced staff costs, eliminating the variability of human decisioning, and so on. That was a great case study. Thanks, Etta.
And now we have another poll question. Is your organization currently implementing new processes for verifying beneficial ownership? This time we'd like you to choose just one answer, and they include, we have implemented a new process, we're currently implementing a new process, we're evaluating a new process right now, or we have no plan to implement a new process. And so now I guess you can see why we just want you to choose one on this one. And by the way, I want to remind you that if you have a question for our speakers, all you have to do to submit it is click on the Q&A icon at the bottom of the screen, type it into the question box area that appears, and then just like you're doing with this poll, hit the submit button after you've written your question out. And once again, this question is, if your organization is currently implementing a new process, what stage are you in for verifying beneficial ownership? So we've already done it. We're doing it right now. Well, we're thinking about it and evaluating some options. But the last one is we have no plan to implement any kind of new process. So we'll go ahead and take a look at your answers. And 38% are evaluating a new process, and another 30% are actually implementing one right now. So, Etta, what do you think?
Okay, so I was very curious about this, so this is very interesting. And that goes pretty much in line what we're hearing with customers right now. You are evaluating a new process at the moment because some of you have that time restriction that's coming up in May 2018, but everybody is kind of under pressure. So either implementing a new process or evaluating a new process. And for the 20% out there, I hope this changes your mind as well. So,
and maybe the 10% can send us some war stories about what they learned, too, to educate the rest of the audience who may not have even been thinking about it.
Absolutely. Yes, agree.
Yes, so it seems like a lot of these folks are in the right place to, as they're evaluating new processes and learning about new tools and all that. So we're in the right spot here. Okay, so moving on, the next step in the workflow that I'm going to focus on is the assessment or due diligence part of your workflow. We want to talk about the online and manual research you do. You need to understand the information behind the businesses. It's crucial to have current insights on the business entity and the person or persons behind it. You need to answer questions such as, can I confirm information tied to a business? Who exactly is the business? Can I identify business associates? What type of derogatory data may there be? And more. This is where our flagship report called Smartlinks Business Report comes in. It's your one-stop shop providing a superior user experience. It has a clearly organized at-a-glance summary, and the content within the report is placed into different categories and sections with easy-to-use expandable drill downs. The in-depth content in the report includes derogatory information such as bankruptcies, liens, judgments, any licenses tied to the businesses, current and prior executives, UCC filings, assets such as property, aircraft, watercraft, registrations, and more.
Okay, so we're looking at the online due diligence and wanted to share another customer story there with you. We had a customer that went from, or was looking from expensive manual merchant vetting to quickly perform due diligence and make confidence decisions while doing that. So Ryan, tell us a bit about their challenges there.
Yeah, Etta, so this customer was struggling with their vetting on these companies. They're handling this process manually by searching the web and relying on their own in-house processes, going to multiple disparate sources. It was very unorganized. So this led to missing out on some very important information on these small businesses and merchants that were looking for loans. And on top of this, it was way more time consuming, not very efficient at all. So they needed a reliable vetting process that allowed them to make the right decisions and make those decisions quickly.
So our Smartlinks business report, how did it specifically help them?
So the Smartlinks business report has become their one-stop shop, right? It allows them to obtain all this pertinent information as they move ahead with their vetting. They can understand any derogatory profile information, identify the people and other businesses associated with it, and do all of this in a much quicker and efficient fashion. Next, we will discuss our batch process offering. This is called the Business Data Enrichment Suite, or BDES for short. This works within the Assess and Comply sections of your workflow. It compiles business information into a batch format and allows you to get a bulk set of results. It can answer questions such as, what is my customer's TIN number? How can I contact my customer if my current information is not correct? What people own and run my small business customer? And is this an active company? There are currently 10 packs that are available in this suite. Depending on what you need, you can choose one or all of these packs. Some of these examples are the Business Executive Pack, which includes information about the people behind the small business. The Secretary of State Pack, which has Secretary of State business status and purpose. Or the Lex ID Business Pack, which develops a single view of the customer and more.
So for this case study, or for this user customer story, we have lots of customers that send us lots of records here. But for this one, it was going from a manual research on small businesses for this CIP initiative to really having comprehensive and updated account information at their fingertips. So Ryan, tell us about the challenge and what they were looking for there.
Yep. So this company works with a high volume of small to mid-sized businesses. This group is a group that is notoriously hard to verify. Manual reviews are a safeguard, but they're extremely time-consuming. They're expensive. They often yield inconsistent results. And just as one example, simply verifying a tax ID often became a scavenger hunt, meandering around free and public resources on the web. The company didn't know what was available in the data universe. They just knew that their efforts continuously came up short.
So for this one then, what did BDS, our business data enrichment suite, what were the successes for this customer specifically?
Yep, so the BDS suite helped them immensely. Backed by exceptional data assets and sophisticated data linking, we conducted a test on this client's business records and demonstrated that it was possible to get a better hit rate, upwards of 80% and more complete data with a new approach. We were able to verify not only the specific results requested, but also additional data, such as the name and address associated with the tax ID, which is useful in quickly resolving identity concerns. As a result, manual reviews could be avoided in favor of a 50% fold increase in automated approvals. The processor was also pleased by the ancillary effect of having better, more complete CRM data, which is a value beyond risk management. So the final product that I'll review today is our business assurance solution. This is our enhanced due diligence solution for you. Our analysts work directly with you to determine the filings and data sources you need. Our wide network of runners quickly access information at the source, and then our analysts summarize the information into an easy-to-use report and deliver it to you.
Yeah, and then the last case study here, another customer success story. We had this global healthcare provider, and they were seeking to improve specifically their supplier vetting process after they had some frustrating experiences. So Ryan, tell us a bit more there.
Yeah, it often took them as long as 6 to 8 weeks to deliver a report. So the client either had to delay onboarding a desired supplier or greenlight it without knowing the risks. They needed customizable reports that contained only relevant details and included the requested specific criteria, and they also needed it a lot quicker than they were getting it.
Gotcha, yes. So with business assurance, what were the results and how did we improve their results?
Yeah, the big win here was the turnaround time of reporting for them was cut in half. But on top of that, the clients also reduced costs and resources by receiving only the customized information most important to their decisions. So it made things a lot easier for them and a lot less frustrating. So with that, Etta, I'll pass it back to you.
Okay, thanks so much. So we've wanted to share the tools, the processes, and specifically those user or customer stories to showcase how this would be potentially applicable for your processes. But to summarize, and we're keeping this brief because I hope we have lots of questions, that we have lots of people on the call that we want to definitely answer some of your specific questions about these topics. But for me to summarize here, for us at LexisNexis Risk Solutions, it's definitely our goal to develop that most concise profile of the business entity and its owners and authorized representatives. And then we craft those into products, as I mentioned before, that meet our customers' needs, whether it is credit, fraud, financial crime, compliance, investigative, or any general due diligence third-party risk needs. I talked about our strengths in data, technology, linking, analytics, and the industry expertise. And we continue to invest in those areas really to work with you, our customers, and the evolving needs and help you with our tools from that onboarding to ongoing monitoring as Ryan described. So Q&A. Mary, I think you're going to ask us some questions, hopefully not too tough, but let's see what we have out there.
Sounds good. It is now time for the Q&A session. If you would like to ask a question, just click on the Q&A icon that you'll see on the bottom of your screen. Type your question into the question box area that appears, and then hit submit. And we will try to get to as many questions as we can in the time we have left. The first question will be for you, Etta. will the regulators accept this product as a way of identifying UBO without asking the client who the UBO is? This is a question for you from David.
Okay. So no, we need to be very specific here. You as the financial institution, as the organization, need to go out to the customer. Your applicant, you need to gather the information from that applicant during new account opening. And so that's how you receive the information and identify or connect the people with the business. And then we help you with our tool to verify that beneficial ownership.
Thank you. Ryan, Leslie wants to know, are these products only or SMB, or can there report on SMB to mid-tier businesses?
Good question, Leslie. Thanks. So we have data on all businesses, right? So these could be mid-tier and even larger businesses as well. We're proud about our extent of data that we have on the SMB market, which is why we focus on that. But we do have absolutely have data on all the other size businesses as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And for you,
Ryan, Mary, sorry. No, sorry. Just wanted to add, yeah, that's really, actually, I'm glad that Leslie asked that question, right? We focus on the small businesses, and we showed you why, with kind of the importance there. But as Ryan stated, that's definitely we're focusing on business entities. Sorry, Mary, go ahead.
Sure. Juan wants to know for you, Etta, does LN cover UBO PSC of non-U.S. entity customers?
PSC, I'm not quite sure what that abbreviation stands for. Was that explained in the question, Mary?
It isn't, but Juan, we're live, and so if you'd like to explain that to us, we'll stand by for your answer. Does it cover UBO? I think they might be the same thing because it's UBO/PSC.
I gotcha, yeah. So, but the question was about global UBO, correct? The identification of the global business ultimate beneficial ownership. So there's different ways of doing that again, that you need to reach out to your customers to get that information, whether it's the U.S. applicant or if you are dealing with global companies there. So different tools that have information on that and that we connect then, and then we do the verification on the beneficial ownership.
And Juan did get right back to us and said that it stands for person with significance control.
Oh, yeah, okay, for the rule. So the rule gets very specific with the percentages, and okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Juan, for letting us know what you were thinking about. And here's another one for you, Etta. Shunda wants to know, do you have a package that would support financial risk of the business? Yeah,
we didn't talk about specifically credit risk in this webinar. We have lots of information, credit risk specific tools, products that we can definitely help you with. So I would hope, was it Rhonda? I would hope we can get back to her, because that could be a whole separate webinar. We actually did one just recently, but talking about credit risk, talking about our reports, our solutions, our tools. So would love to get back to you there. Very
what's nice about Shunda's question here is it gives us an excuse to say that we will answer any questions that we don't get to during today's webcast after the webcast. So you'll find Shunda's information, and you'll be able to answer her question. Ryan, let's go back to you. James wants to know, when you say we have to collect the UBO info and then we can try to verify with LexisNexis, does that mean that you just give us a confidence level of whether they are in fact a UBO, or do you provide all the data that you have on the SMB owners back to us?
Well, that's a great question. That's really a combination of several different tools that we offer. So, if you do have the UBO info and the business, you can use the Business Instant ID to get a very quick response and just, validate that, in fact, there is a match. If you don't have that information and you're looking for, a more comprehensive report with more information, then, something like the Smartlinks business report would be perfect for you, where you can pull some of that information there. And then on top of that, there's, a whole other suite of products that that may or may not help you depending on what your use case is.
Great. I'll give you guys a quick rest and answer Nadine's questions myself. She wants to know when the recorded session will be sent to the attendees, and that is probably about within 24 hours after today's event. And if you would like to just go to it yourself without getting that link, you can just go back to the same the exact same link that you got into this event with. Okay, Etta, back to you. Earl says, do you have clients who need to document more than 5 related parties?
So that, is something definitely very interesting, the discussion out there in the marketplace, right? Is it we have the verification of the 5, and then businesses have come to us and say, do we need to do more? But you can obviously run more through it, but this is kind of the rule, the way we have worked with the rule, with the regulations to identify the 5, but then you can add more individuals that you want to verify, absolutely.
Okay, great. And Ryan, let's see, Arlene wants to know, if an account is being opened and a beneficial owner is left off of the application, will this system be able to tell us that there are missing beneficial owners?
Yeah, there are tools for that, absolutely. Based on all the different sources that we obtain our information from, we may have information that is not being disclosed on some sort of application, and that's exactly why our tools are so valuable to your workflow. It's something that you can use to verify that what's being disclosed and submitted is accurate. And then if something's missing, it's something that you can go back to the customer on and do a little bit more due diligence about, just to make sure that something isn't fishy about the application.
Thank you. Ryan, another question for you, and again from Shunda. In the SOS package, where limited or no information is provided in a state like New Jersey or California, what additional sources are being used?
So that one I'm going to have to get back to. I assume you're speaking specifically about the BDES suite, the SOS package in that suite. So let me get back to Shunda on that, and when we get more information.
Sounds good. Probably have time for at least one more question. This is for you, Etta. Michael wants to know, does the automated identity verification work with Latin American corporations, or is it only for domestic companies?
So very good question, just to clarify that. The Business Infinity 2.0 is for U.S. businesses only. It is not global at this point. So Business Infinity 2.0 that Ryan shared and the verification index is in up to 5 authorized representatives. That is U.S. only.
All right, great. Did you want to give us some closing comments, Etta?
Definitely, yeah. So it's lots of questions, and I'm sure I know I see more popping up. So we will we leaving it to the time limit here, but I'm amazed to see. I think we might do a little bit more, perhaps another webinar on UBO very specifically, because all these questions are very, very good questions, and I see that's what we hear in the marketplace, but with the regulators, with the information that is out there, there's definitely more. There's the need for information out there. So we would love to hear more from you specifically. We can answer those questions that you had, very specific, how it works for your workflows and processes. But I'm really thankful for the participation and the interest and the good questions that we've seen and your feedback in the poll results as well.
Yeah,
I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say good questions so many times, so I agree with you. What were you going to say, Ryan?
No, and I just wanted to leave everyone with this. There are a couple more questions in there about where we obtain the ownership information from and how do we differentiate our products. And I just want to touch on the fact that we combine information from really greater than 10,000 different data sources, and it gives us coverage of up to 25% more U.S. businesses than any other provider, including millions of hard-to-assess small and new businesses. So combining that with our patented linking technology, it provides you with more coverage than any of our competitors, as well as the most accurate results in the industry. So we really stand by that and really feel good about that. So yes, thanks everyone for taking the time to listen, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you both to Ryan and Etta for your presentations, and we are coming up on 45 minutes past the hour. We want to respect your time and say thank you that you were able to attend today's webinar, and we really hope that you found it valuable. Thanks also for participating in the polls and sending in your questions. If we didn't get time to answer your question, Etta or Ryan will follow up directly with you after today's webcast with an answer. And by the way, the presentation and webinar recording will be distributed to all registrants shortly after today's event. Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your day.